You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry, ChillyBoy Chill Son, and this is my review for Rustin. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Rustin is a 2023 biographical drama directed by George C. Wolfe. Bayard Rustin, advisor to Martin Luther King Jr., dedicates his life to the quest for racial equality, human rights, and worldwide democracy. However, as an openly gay black man, he is all but erased from the civil rights movement he helped to build. The film stars Coleman Domingo, Chris Rock, and Glenn Turman. Rustin will receive a limited theatrical run starting November 3rd before hitting Netflix on November 17th. Now, I knew of Bayard Rustin just in passing. I knew the name Rustin, basically. I had heard it, I had learned about him. Obviously, his name popped up when discussing the civil rights movement. However, that's it. That's all I knew was his name and a vague correlation to Martin Luther King Jr. Other than that, I knew literally nothing about this man or his story. But I do love Coleman Domingo, and obviously the story intrigued me. Obviously, once I learned that this film also dealt with him being openly gay, it really intrigued me, and I was excited to see what this film was all about before it hits Netflix in November. So I was so thankful that Netflix provided the opportunity to screen the film prior to its release. And I have to say, I really enjoyed Rustin. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, I have to start my positives off with the man at the center of this entire film, Coleman Domingo, because he is absolutely fantastic in this role. This was a character unlike any other I have ever seen him play. A complete transformation for Coleman Domingo. He is amazing in this film. Without prosthetics, without all this big makeup work, he disappears into this person. I stopped seeing Coleman Domingo, the actor, and I just saw the man that is Bayard Rustin. And he has so much nuance to his role. He's so charismatic to go along with the more showy, big parts of the character. He is truly breathtaking at the center of this film. I also thought Glenn Turman was fantastic in a supporting role here. A role that, one, easily could have just been a thankless background character, or two, played to the rafters. Instead, he finds this beautiful middle ground of humanity that worked so well. And I loved seeing the icon, the legend, CCH Pounder, get her dues. She is fabulous once again, as she always is, such an underrated talent. And Jeffrey Wright, who has a cameo basically in the film. Oh, but is it a good one? He makes use of that very limited screen time he gets. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring attention to Gus Halper, who plays Tom in this film. I wasn't really familiar with him, but wow, what a beautiful performance he gives as well. That stands toe to toe with Coleman Domingo and the scenes that they share together. All around, a really fantastic ensemble cast, full of so many people who either don't get their flowers nearly enough, or people I had never really seen or become familiar with getting a chance to shine, even with limited screen time. And I don't know if this is going to be a popular opinion, because as we'll talk about in the negatives a bit, it doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means. However, I really enjoyed this screenplay from George C. Wolfe himself, who also serves as director here. The screenplay brings this monumental historic event to life with life and fervor, with passion. You understand this character of Rustin, you know who he is. And Domingo's performance pairs so beautifully with the screenplay to illustrate how it is he survived, how it is he persevered when literally The whole world, whether within the community he was fighting to uplift or outside of it, were trying to snuff him out and erase him. But it gave us those fun moments. It gave us the effervescence of the character and his zest for life and his passion for his work while never overlooking the overall subject matter. We got a story of huge historical significance within the civil rights movement, as well as depicting a gay man at a time that was less than horrific to our culture, depicting the hardships that came along with that without devolving into just misery porn. It didn't succumb to the tropes that so often come from historical Black and queer stories. Instead, chose to highlight the struggles, but more than that, highlight the magnificence of the person. Plus, there was a great urgency to the script as we built up to this event. I thought it was actually laid out quite well to get us to that final march. Although we know what happens, we know how the march ends up. Telling it from Rustin's perspective, one that has not been taught nearly enough in the history books, gave it a new life. I was thoroughly entertained with the film. I was heavily moved. There is this amazing speech from Rustin to Martin Luther King partway through the script. Actually, he has a lot of really amazing quotes throughout the film that just zing off the tongue. And then it closes on a really small, moving moment with Rustin that I also loved. There are just so many great, wonderful moments here. This is a feel good movie to the fullest degree, but one that is going to educate you, one that is going to push you to want to do better. And I think those are the best kind of feel good movies. And I'm so thankful for George C. Wolfe's voice within the realm of telling Black historical stories, whether it be this. Of course, he's behind Ma Rainey's Black Bottom coming to the screen. And of course, he's behind so many stellar stage productions. But I think his voice is so delightful. But I think his voice is so clear when it comes to telling Black history. And it's very much appreciated, at least by me. So then what doesn't work so well when it comes to Rustin? Well, I mentioned the fact that it doesn't reinvent the wheel. By most standards, it is very much that feel-good biopic, that feel-good history movie. And I think the downfall of the script, while I think it is sharply written, it's entertaining, it moves at an urgent pace, it maybe moves just a tad too urgently. That when we get these big moments or we get more personal revelations or moments that just feel like they need an extra minute to sit in, we're moving past that fast. We have to get to that final event. That's the driving force. And while we're focusing on Rustin and his own personal story, that takes a back seat in a lot of ways to the overall narrative of the movement and the messaging behind being a queer Black man. We get these flashbacks to what he went through back in the day that sometimes felt a bit clunky and awkward. The editing overall was just a little bit off, and the cinematography felt a bit flat overall as well. If you're watching this on yes, this is a top tier Netflix film by most technical standards. However, for the type of gravitas that so much of the story brings to the screen, I wish that the cinematography and the look, the feel of it would have been able to capture that same gravitas. And right in line with that was actually the original score as well, which unfortunately, I didn't love. It was quite sparse as we move throughout the film, and when it does kind of like flitter in, it just kind of like whimpered. It never really elevated the material, and at times actually took me out because it's like, oh, well, hello, little horn, just by yourself in the background. And the soundtrack's so fabulous and wonderful. To get this very underwhelming original score was a bit disappointing. But overall, Rustin delivered exactly what I wanted. I learned so much about a historic event I thought I knew enough about already. I learned so much about an important person in queer history as well as Black history and overall American history that I didn't know going into the film. It moved me, it made me laugh. It took me through the entire gambit of what a feel-good historic drama is meant to do. And it did so in delightful fashion. I had a great time with Rustin. A welcome addition to the quite crowded landscape of the historical drama. So that was my review for Rustin. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Rustin? Let me know all of your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.